Good evening, friends. Myself Ratnesh Kumar Mishra, and welcome to all of you on the YouTube channel of Manoj IAS. We are discussing about the topic of fundamental rights. In previous classes, we had discussed about the two mainly rights: right to equality and right to freedom. And today we will discuss right against exploitation. Exploitation. It is given under Article 23 and 24. Clear? Given under Article 23 and 24. Article 23 states that provision in human trafficking or forced labor. Human trafficking and forced labor So Article 23 basically impose restrictions on the two types of things. First, human trafficking, and second, on forced labor. Now we will see that what is human trafficking and what is forced labor. Human trafficking. What is human trafficking? What is human trafficking? Smuggling of human beings, or smuggling of human organs. It means, beta, if someone is smuggling human beings or someone is smuggling the human organs, it should be known as human trafficking. And this is prohibited under Article 23 of the Indian Constitution. Under Article 23 of the Indian Constitution. We have to know one thing there, that now we see what is forced labor. Labor without payment. Labor against will of anyone. Labor forcefully for any debt or loan. If someone is not paying any debt or loan, and for the compensation of that debt or loan, if someone shows that you have to labor on my fields, on any other type of labor should be paid as the payment of debt or loan, it should be considered as forced labor. Okay, so have you got that what is forced labor and what is human trafficking? Look better. Article 23 not only provide provide protections provide protection against state state, also against against private citizens, also against private citizens. It means beta, if government is forcing us to do labor without payment, state cannot do this, and even any private citizens also cannot do this. So anyone belonging from state capability or belonging from private capability cannot force us to do labor without payment. So we have got some things clear, but there is an exception of this. There is a exception of this. Under Article 23 Clause 2, state can impose compulsory service for public purpose, compulsory services for public purpose, for public purpose. And also remember one thing, that imposing these type of services, state cannot discriminate. State will not discriminate. It means beta, under Article 23 Clause 2, the state can impose compulsory service in the favor of public welfare for the public purposes, but while imposing these type of compulsory services, the state cannot discriminate on the grounds of caste, religion, sex, or any other ground of discrimination given in Constitution of India. So this is the complete evolution of Article 23 given under Constitution of India. Now we see what are the legislations made by state to implement these provisions. So there are two acts made by the Parliament of India. There are two acts made by the Parliament of India to implement the provisions of under Article 23. First is separation of immoral traffic in women immoral traffic, immoral traffic in women and girl child and Girls Act and Girls Act 1956. 1956. Bonded labor system abolishment abolishment act Bonded Labor Abolishment Act 1976. So there are mainly two legislations passed by the Parliament of India to implement the objective of the under objectives of Article 23 given in Constitution of India. First one is Suppression of Immoral Traffic in Women and Girls Act 1956, and second one is Bonded Labor System Abolishment Act 1976. We have to one thing understand very well here, that what is bonded labor. What is bonded labor? What is bonded labor? Bonded labor. We are working bonded labor. Now we will see clear. Now we will see Article 24 of Indian Constitution. I hope all of you understand the Article 23 very well. Now we will see that what type of the provisions given under Article 24. Provision of employment of child labor of children in factories etc. Article 24 says that no child below the age of 14 years shall be employed to work in any factory or mine or engage in any other hazardous employment. Clear? It's clearly shown that children below 14 years cannot employed in factories, mines or hazardous work. It clearly says that children below 14 years cannot employed in factories, mines and hazardous work. What do you mean by hazardous work? It means beta type of work type of work in which in which a risk of death is present. Risk of death is present. If any work in which the risk of death is present, it should be known as hazardous work. However, children can employed in non-hazardous non-hazardous work like agriculture, general store shops, or home-based works. Home-based work. Clear? Home-based works. But according to the Supreme Court of India, from they have to a specified time of period for their studies for their study. It means beta, if a boy wants to work in non-hazardous works like in the shop of their father, like in agriculture activities, like any home-based works, the guardians can employ their children in these type of work. But Supreme Court states that they have also right to education, and the parents have to provide a certain time of period for their studies. For their studies. Clear? For their studies. Now we see that what are the legislations? What are the legislation regarding Article 24? Regarding Article 24. The first is the Factories Act. The Factories Act. Factories Act 1948. In this act, this was the first act. This was the first act. First act passed after independence. Remember this point. The Factories Act 1948 was the first act was passed after independence to implement the provisions of Article 24. To implement the provisions of Article 24. And in this article, in this act, provide provisions provisions that provisions that children below 14 years below 14 years cannot be employed cannot be employed. Further, this year is further this limit increased to 17 years through an amendment. So, Factories Act 1948 was the first act passed after the independence to regulate the employment of children in factories below 14 years. And this act provides a provisions that children below 14 years cannot be employed in factories, and further this age limit was extended or increased to 17 years through an amendment in this act. Clear? It was extended in 1954. Okay. Now we will see that the, the Mines Act of the Mines Act of the Mines Act 1952. The Mines Act 1952. This act this act provides the employment of the employment of the employment of children's employment of people under 18 years in mines. So according to the Mines Act 1952, the peoples under 18 years cannot be employed in mines. Cannot be employed in mines. And the third one and the most important act was Child Labor Act. Child Labor Act 1986. Child Labor Act 1986. And this act this act designates this act designates that a child as a person child or person who did not attain age of 14 years age of 14 years age of 14 years cannot be employed cannot be employed cannot be employed. And in this act 13 occupations and 57 processes were identified by the government were identified by the government. Further, this was amended Child Labor Amendment Act 2016, and this act provides that completely forbids the employment of children below 20 years, below 14 years, below 14 years, below 14 years. It means the Child Labor Act was amended in 2016, and through this amendment, the employment of children below 14 years was completely forbidden by the government. Was completely forbidden by the government. This was further amended in 2017. Further amended in 2017. And governments notified that the above rules in 2017 to provide a broad and specific framework for prevention. The government notified and provide a broad and specific provide broad and specific framework for the employment for framework for prevention prohibition and rescue and rehabilitation of child and adolescent workers. So, through an amendment in 2017, the Child Labor Act got an broad and specific framework related to the prevention, prohibition, rescue, and rehabilitation of child and adolescent labors. Clear? So these are the legislation given for the implementation of Article 24. Article 24. So we had discussed about the right against exploitation, right against exploitation, exploitation, and in this we have discussed about Article 23 and 24. Okay, about 24 we discuss about all these: human trafficking, human trafficking, provision of human trafficking and forced labor, and forced labor, provision on employment of children below 14 years, below 14 years in factories, etc. So we have discussed right against exploitation, and in this we had discussed about the Article 23 and Article 24. I hope all of you are able to understand these provisions given under Article 23 and 24. Now we will discuss about right to freedom of religion, right to freedom of religion, right to freedom of religion, and it is given from Article 25 to 28 in the Indian Constitution, given from Article 25 to 28 in Indian Constitution. But before discussing this fundamental right, we have to discuss, we have to know must know about an word called secularism. 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 If I ask all of you that what is secularism, it means directly separation from separate from religion. Separate from religion. Always remember that the separation from religion is called secularism. It's called secularism. It's called secularism. And separation from what? Separation from what? Separate from religion. So what type of separation from religion? So we have to know that separation from separation of religion, is from government, from government, social, from government, or aspects of life, or aspects of life, social, economic, and cultural, and culture. If we will separate the religion from government and aspects of life like social, economic, and cultural aspect of life, this should be represented as secularism. Here, here, religion is a complete. Here religion is a complete private matter. Complete private matter. It means the religion should not be should not be expressed publicly to harm any other religion. It should be a private matter. It should be always a private matter. We know that India is a secular country. Why? Because because there is no religion of state. Because there is no religion of state. Because there is no religion of state. India is secular. How can we say that? We can say that India is secular because there is no religion of state in India. In India, in India, there are there are equal respect, equal respect for equal respect for all religions, all religions. It means there is no any state of India and Indian state, and in India there are equal respect for the all of religions presented in the territory of India or professed by the citizens of India or any person who is residing within the territory of India. Clear? Secularism, secularism is also part of part of basic structure, basic structure in India. Also the part of basic structure in India. Clear? Highly regarded, highly regarded in Indian democracy, in Indian democracy. There is an highly regard about the secularism in Indian democracy. In Indian democracy. It means beta, it means all religious groups in India, all religious groups in India, groups in India have equal powers, have same powers, same powers without any discrimination, without any discrimination. Without any discrimination. It means beta all the religions present in India same powers, and by using for using of these powers there is no any type of discrimination to the state, discrimination by the state. This was a concept about the secularism, and now we see that there are two types of there are two concepts of secularism. There are two concepts of secularism, of secularism. One is Western and one is India. Yeah, and one in India. So we will discuss that what is the Western concept. What is the Western concept? Complete separation. Complete separation between state and religion. State and religion. It means beta, according to the Western philosophy of secularism, or according to the Western concept of secularism, the state will not interfere in the works of religion, and also the religion will not interfere in the works of state. Both are completely separated. Both are completely separated. Both are completely separated. Now we see that Indian concept. What is the Indian concept of? There is no any watertight separation. It means in India, partial separation, it means beta, there is no watertight separation between the state and religion in India. Clear? In Indian concept, there is no any watertight separation between state and religion. Watertight separation between state and religion. It means in India, the partial separation is performed. The partial separation is performed. Why? Why we said that the partial separation is performed? Look better. Because that state can intervene in religion on the grounds of ethics and morality, public order, and integrity of nation, and integrity of nation, and integrity of the nation. Clear? Clear? Ethics and morality. Ethics and morality. Government, government regulates regulates triple talaq, triple talaq. Triple talaq is an religious matter of Muslims, but this was regulated by an act passed by the government of India, and triple talaq was banned because it was unethical and against the morality and the dignity of the woman and the dignity of the woman. Clear? Government forbidden some rituals of Jainism, Jainism are rituals in which the monks of the Jainism will attain the death by not eating any type of food. Clear? By not eating any type of food. And due to this, this is called that you cannot compel you for the death. It is against morality and also against the health. And also against the health. Clear? Other one is public order. Public order. Clear? If any religious activity, if any religious activity make threat for general public, it should be regulated on the ground of public order. We can see that some of governments banned namaz on roads. Namaz on roads. Clear? Namaz on roads. So this is the example of public order. Clear? Many of Hindu temples are regulates by government, are regulates by government, are regulates by government. Government can constitute board of administration for large temples. Example, recently made for Ram Mandir, the Ram Mandir, and also Waqf boards, So these are the some examples regarding the partial separation of the religion from state in Indian philosophy of secularism. Clear? So we had discussed what is the secularism and what are the Western and Indian philosophy of the secularism given in Constitution of India. Now we will discuss about the right to religious freedom. Right to religious freedom. Right to freedom of religion. Freedom of religion. Clear? And we will discuss about the Article 25. Article 25. Article 25 guarantees freedom of conscience. Freedom of conscience. Freedom of conscience. Freedom of conscience. Freedom of freedom of profess, propagate, practice and propagation of any religion, of any religion, of any religion. Clear? But beta, if myself Ratnesh Mishra, I have freedom of conscience, I am free to profess, practice or propagate any religion in India. I can profess Islam, I can profess Jainism, I can profess Buddhism, I can profess Sanatanism, any type of religion which be like, I can profess, practice and propagate. Propagate. Clear? In propagation, धर्मांतरण is not included. You cannot propagate anyone for the dharmantaran. For dharmantaran, you cannot propagate anyone for dharmantaran. Clear? And these freedoms are subject of subjects of public order. These freedoms are subjects of public order, health and morality. Health and morality. Health and morality. Clear? State can make laws. State can make laws to regulate economic regulates or restricts any financial economic economic, political, political or secular activities or secular activities or secular activity associated with associated with practice of associated with practice of religion associated with practice of religion. Clear? So this is the under article. These are the freedoms given under Article 25 of the Constitution of India. Now we will see the Article 26. Article 26. Freedom to manage, freedom to manage religious affairs. Religious affairs. And there are some basic rights are given to any religious denomination, to any religious denomination. Form to form and maintain to form and maintain institutions for religious for religious and charitable intents and charitable intents. Manage to own affairs manage to own affairs in the matter of religion in the matter of religion in the matter of religion in the matter of religion. Acquire the movable or immovable properties So these are the certain rights given, and also administer the property accordance with law accordance with law. So there are four basic rights are given under Article 16 related to the freedom to manage religious affairs. Clear? But always remember it. These freedoms are subject to public order, health, and morality, health and morality. So under Article 16, 26, so under Article 26 of the Indian Constitution, I have right to maintain institutions for religious and charitable intents. I have right to manage my own affairs in the matter of religion. I have right to acquire the immovable and movable property, clear, and I have right to administer that type of property according to the law. So there are four certain freedoms are given under 26 of the Indian Constitution But all all these freedoms are subject to the public order, health and morality. It means all these freedoms can be restricted on the grounds of public order, health and morality. On the grounds of public order, health and morality. Always remember that only Article 17 is an absolute fundamental right given in the Constitution of India. All other fundamental rights are subject to certain grounds of reasonable restriction. Always. So, for the right to freedom of religion from Article 25 to 28, there are mainly three grounds are given: public order, health and morality. Clear? So, now we will see the Article 27. Article 27. According to the 27 article of the Constitution, there can be no taxes. There can be no taxes. There can be no taxes there can be no taxes, the proceeds of which, the proceeds of which, proceeds of which directly used, directly used, directly used for promotion of any religion, for promotion of any religion, for promotion of any particular religion, for the promotion for promotion or for promotion or maintenance of particular religion, particular religion. It means beta, state cannot impose any type of tax for the promotion or the maintenance of any particular religion. As we know that in the Mughal times there was a tax known as jizya was imposed on the Hindus for the welfare of the Islamic denomination, for the welfare of Islamic denomination. Clear? But in free India, there is no any type of taxes which can be imposed for the promotion or the maintenance of any particular religion. But always remember, state can impose, state can impose duties, cess and surcharges, clear, and surcharges. Clear? If you visit any place if I'm not a Hindu, I am a Muslim, and I am visiting to the Ayodhya, clear, to for traveling purpose, or for tourism purpose, we the government of UP can impose some type of duties, cess, or surcharges for the maintenance of law and order, and for the cleaning purposes of Ayodhya, and we have to pay this. Clear? We have to pay this. Clear? Now we see the Article 28. The Article 28. If someone asks that any type of taxes imposed, no. But duties, yes. Duties or cess can be imposed. Clear? Article 28. Article 28 permits 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 educational institutions that are maintained by religious group to disseminate religious instruction. This eliminate religious instruction. Clear? Religious instruction for institution for institutions institutions maintained by maintained by maintained by maintained by religious groups. Religious groups. Clear? Always remember that if any educational institution is running by an religious group, the religious instructions can be re can be disseminated for the student. But there are certain grounds, clear, who provide that religious education, religious instruction can't given in institution in institution in institutions run by government. Run by government. So always remember that any type of institution which is run by the government, the religious instructions cannot be given. The religious instructions cannot be given. Clear? And the other, partially funded by any type of institution which is recognized by which is recognized by government, recognized by government, but run by run by private authority, private authority, religious religious instructions can be given by the assent of person. And if the person is minor, if the person is minor, if minor by assent of their parents, by assent of their parents. It means beta, if any religious institute is recognized by the state but run by any private authority, the religious instructions can be given, but for the religious instructions the assent of the person is mandatory, and if the person is minor, by the assent of their parents, by the assent of their parents. Clear? So today we have discussed about the two rights given in the Constitution of India, that were right against exploitation and right for freedom, right to freedom of religion. So we will discuss further fundamental rights given in Indian Constitution in next class. Please subscribe our channel, hit the like button, and also comment your provide your valuable comments for our videos, and promote our channel as well as you capable. Please support us. We are here to serve all of you, and we are doing very well to provide all of you an informative and valuable videos for your PSC examination. I urge all of you once again that please subscribe our channel, like, and provide your valuable comments. We will meet in the next class. Thank you so much.